back to Creatively Crafted Life. It's Melanie and
Lela.
And we're here for another coffee, aka Diet Coke break. And we're so glad that you could join us today as we hang out and chit chat about all crafty things.
Right. I think we're continuing our chit chat about travel. I'm super excited to talk about travel because we both travel for work, travel for fun, kind of big part of our lives, and even part of our scrapbooks. Quite a bit of it is travel.
And I think it's something that everybody likes to scrapbook, right? Our trips and our vacations, our holidays, that kind of thing. So I know it's one of my most favorite things to scrapbook. And I think you've actually set it as a goal this year to work on a big trip that you made a couple years ago.
Yes, believe it or not, Mel, now it's 4 years ago.
It was 4 years ago already?
Can you believe that? Yes.
I guess so, because it was pre-COVID, wasn't it?
It was pre-COVID, right? Right.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
That feels like just yesterday when you were getting all excited about going. That leads me to my question I have for you, because I know you like to scrapbook in the moment, that you like to keep current. So why has it taken you 4 years almost to get around to scrapbooking this? I'm interested to hear, why this was put off. Was it overwhelming? Were you not excited about it? Did COVID mess with you? Anyway, I don't know. I'm just curious to hear what happened, because I know I've had moments in my time where I have stopped or have avoided scrapbooking something, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I'm just curious to know, in this case, why haven't you scrapbooked this big trip?
I know. When we were going to talk about this, I was kind of thinking through that, Melanie, what in the world? Because I scrapped a ton through COVID. Of course, in my job, I'm on the road a lot. And all of a sudden, I was home. So for me, had a lot of time to scrapbook. Matter of fact, my whole 2019 and 2020 scrapbooks are done.
Right.
So why didn't I scrap this trip of a lifetime?
Yeah.
And I think that you hit on it when you said perhaps overwhelmed. So I went on a multi-stop trip. This one wasn't with, one place and one person. As you know, this was a kind of a trip of a lifetime that lined up for me. I won a trip for work, took my best friend with me to France for a week, then spent a weekend in Italy with a cousin of mine, and then we actually Venice. And actually, before we even left for France, we spent a weekend in New York City, and I'd never been there. And then the last part of that trip was a cruise around Italy. So I think because for multiple reasons here, I think I have a ton of pictures. And of course, every time I look through them, you love them all, right?
Yeah.
And on this trip, I think I got the idea from you. I actually wrote in a travel journal every day from the day we left to the day I got home. Every day I was really dedicated to. So I captured so much of what was going on. So I also think that I didn't feel the pressure to scrap that maybe right away because I knew you can read my whole travel experience in this notebook. I completely filled a notebook.
So is that also why you love documenting in the moment, currently, because those memories are so fresh and it helps you with the journaling? Is that part of the reason why you like to do that?
Absolutely. I like to tell that little story or that funny story about maybe what happened versus what we're seeing. I have adult kids now, right? So usually when I'm scrapping an event or scrapping something that's going on, it's about the underlying story of what happened or what got us there or what.
Right.
For instance, we went to a basketball game over the holidays. And you would think that my scrapbook page would be about that basketball game. Basketball game really didn't end up being super exciting, but we went in the middle of that blizzard right? And
Okay.
that -4 temperatures, and where we ended up parking, the hallway that we thought could walk direct was closed, and we had to go out in that crazy, really high wind. It almost got blown away. The whole story was really about getting there and that whole decision to still go. And
Right.
even
And you
though,
wouldn't necessarily get that same feeling from just looking at the photos you took, I guess.
right. Right. But just the intensity and that all the emotions we went through and that's my story for that basketball game, even though the pictures are basketball pictures. The
Right.
story is really a funny story my family and I still talk about almost being blown away, in Cleveland and in a whiteout to try to
Right.
spend some time together at a sporting event.
So in some ways, the journaling in the moment, in this case, backfired for you in not wanting to get your project done. Interesting.
Here's the other thing is I absolutely love memorabilia. I love it. I love it when I see it in scrapbooks. I love it when it's collected, and especially on a trip. I think that's
Yeah.
why I love travel pages, is because and I collected so much memorabilia. If you've ever been on a cruise, I know you have. I
Yeah.
brought home those daily sheets
Right.
that they give you on the ship and put them all in an 8.5 by 11. I have an
Yeah.
idea I want to put those in. And you can imagine how much memorabilia, because they gave you tickets and ticket stubs and,
Yeah.
notes. And so I think also as I look at that huge box of memorabilia, Melanie, I had to FedEx the memorabilia to my house because it would not fit in my suitcase. That's how much I had collected by the time I got done with my trip. And
Okay.
of course, I
Okay. So I got a spin-off conversation. We're not going to have enough time to talk about this. And I don't
okay.
know if you've actually tackled your memorabilia yet. Have you? Okay. So we're going to have to talk about how you're going to tackle all this memorabilia and how you're planning to incorporate it into your book at some point.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So what else? Is there any other reasons why you think you haven't tackled it? Overwhelming. You've already journaled, so the pressure's off.
Right. And just the amount of pictures and memorabilia. And I don't know if the memory is so good that I don't know if I'm worried that I can't capture it. I don't know, Melanie. It's the craziest thing why I want the scrapbooks of that trip to be perfect, like the trip
Okay.
was. And I might be feeling a little bit of pressure there. But I have, as you know, I've also collected the perfect paper. I've been collecting. I was all ready for it. I bought the albums. So
Yeah.
I just need to get busy on it.
The problem with deferring this is that there's going to be more perfect paper. Every time you look, you'll be buying another kit or collection or something.
I might have done that. I might have done, especially for the cruise. Like I started out with, some papers that I found. And of course I bought 3 or 4 packs because, I was going to do the whole cruise in that. And then all of a sudden I found some other stuff and I liked it better. And now I just have to go on another cruise because I'm sure I got enough cruise paper to go on 3 or 4 cruises. But
assuming you still want to use that paper for those cruises.
Right. Right. So I finally have a plan. I think it's going to help me. I finally sat down and made a plan how I'm going to scrapbook it. In the first album, it's going to be my weekend in New York. It's not going to be a huge album, but it'll keep all those memories because we just went from morning till night trying to pack in everything we could. And then the next album will be my week in France. Might be 2 albums for that one because we did a lot every day. And then my third or fourth, depending, album will be Venice and the weekend I had in Venice. Again, it won't be as large of an album, but it captures kind of that moment in time in Venice. And then, of course, the last album will be the cruise.
Right. And I bet you by breaking it down into smaller chunks, it's going to feel more manageable. And as you complete I'm assuming you're going to complete one section, but maybe you're going to be working all over the place. I don't know. But let's say you were to focus just on New York, getting that done would probably get you rolling on the rest, right? Because now you've got that momentum going. I would think that's usually what happens with me anyways.
That's why I'm going to break it down. That's now why kind of how I've got it broke down in my head. And so now I'm hoping that that'll get me going, because I really literally have 2020, and then this was in 2019. So I scrapbooked, and then I put one page in about the planning for the trip and coming up to it, and then I scrapped the rest of my life. So in my regular album, it only holds one page. By the way, that's done. And so now that I think I've broke it down, it makes it more manageable. And
well, we can't, I'm sure I'm going to speak for everybody listening. We're going to look forward to hearing about how this is all coming together. So as for me, so I love to scrapbook travel, as I mentioned earlier. And so I'm usually pretty good about getting on top of them right away. But for instance, I was just in Hawaii in November, and I have not even thought about scrapbooking it at all. And I had a great trip. It was a lot of fun. I did not do any journaling, and I'm just not in the right place at this moment. And I don't know why. I think a part of it is still stemming from the fact that I'm still doing all this organization in my craft room. And it's like, I just don't feel I have that capacity to take on a big project, because I don't do anything small. So, if I'm going to put a kit together for this, it's going to be huge, which means it's going to take up space, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea.
You haven't bought the paper for your Hawaii trip yet?
Well, I didn't buy any specific paper for it. I have quite a collection of tropical type papers already. So I did very well. And I said, no, you're going to use what you have. It was not an intensely packed trip. So I think I should have more than enough to complete this album. At least that's my hope. And then I also have quite a few stamps. So now that I've gone through most of my stamps, if not all of them at this point, I have quite a few that would also work really well for that album. And so maybe that'll be the impetus I need to just, start using my stamps a little bit more.
Well, also, I think that you found some fun embellishments. As you know, you sorted all of your embellishments or your punches, or I would think there would be some other things there that might inspire you to do Hawaii.
I hope so. Just to use some of the stuff in my stash instead of bringing more in.
I know, and I know we're going to go into this in another topic on our coffee break, because we're just about done here. But I know what the push for me was here. All of a sudden, I saw some paper, and even though I already had paper, there was just a certain set that really, actually, it was these puffy luggage stickers. I'll be totally honest with you, but I don't know why that inspired me, but I just love those little luggage puffy stickers, and I said I need to do that trip, and now I'm ready. I also think I had it set up in my mind, like you said, like now I have it broke down and it's manageable, and I feel like I can take it on. So I don't know what inspired me. That's a whole nother topic, but I think something like that will inspire you as well for Hawaii.
I think so. Well, I'm also going on a cruise in March, so I got to get going. I got to get going on this stuff, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. So for those of you that are listening and sharing in our coffee break, have you ever had a project that you just couldn't get going for whatever reason? We'd love to hear how you got out of it, what kind of tips and tricks, and what inspired you to break that barrier, so to speak, or maybe you're still stuck. And we'd love to hear why you think you're just not willing to tackle this project at this point in time. Let us know in the comments below. And I think that's going to be it for today. Thanks, Lela, for the coffee.
It was good.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
Have a good coffee break.